Here with Merrimack College women's basketball head coach Kelly Morrone after a 72-67 loss to Quinnipiac. Coach, opening statement on the game.
I mean, I don't know where to start. I think, one, it's nice to be back for break. We haven't played in front of a crowd like that in a while, and it's just the difference it makes. I mean, at one point, there was no point in me calling anything because nobody could hear me anyway, but our band, you know, all of our fans that were there, it was a loud environment, and it was definitely a home court environment that we just love playing in, and you could tell how our team, you know, executed and performed today. They responded, and I think we really talk a lot about, as a program, leaving great impressions, because you're going to leave one way or the other, you know, and you're in control of only so much. And I felt that from our game at Manhattan to here, that we grew up a lot just from managing the moments that we have to manage, understanding what these runs look like. Our offensive execution was much better than it has been, and you know, adjusting to what the game was going to call of you next. And man, did the game call Rose Casso. She's the only junior in that starting lineup, and her elevated play elevated everybody. And it's the mark of a true team when you got players that are playing for each other like that. I mean, they saw her going, and they were like, we're gonna be right on your hip, and we're gonna raise our game right along with you. And it's the reason why we had the ability to compete as well as we did. So she is, and we're all really happy for her, and what a warrior today.
Questions for Coach Morrone?
Third quarter, you guys threw a heck of a haymaker coming out, went on that big run, I think it was 15-4, and then they threw one right back to only see you come out and really just dig in that fourth, right? And find a way to scratch and claw. You held them off the board for almost half the quarter. You talked a little bit about it just a moment ago, where you could expand upon seeing the character of your team really start to develop, what you've seen over the last handful of games. And you mentioned the game against Manhattan. Manhattan threw that punch in the third that you didn't recover from. Tonight you got that punch back, but you recovered from it. You were right in that game in the fourth. What does that say to you about the character of your team, specifically because they're a young team in a lot of ways?
They're young, and I mean, we knew that they'd only lost one game, and that was to the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, they're not going to not notice that. So we knew what this was going to look like in the level of basketball. And for a team that has a lot going right for them already, to come out and shoot the way that they did, a young team like ours could have just deflated right in that first quarter. And we have before, you know. I think being able to handle that punch to start set us up for that third quarter. And what I like about this group is they're constantly wanting to just grow. You know, we've had losses where we were upset because we didn't play hard enough or we weren't connected enough, but the third quarter's been an issue, and they focused on it, and they were like, this is something that we need to defeat for ourselves and get that off of our back. We're not just going to be a team that there's always one quarter that we don't play well. So that is leadership to me, and a player-led team. Because I can say it all I want to, like, don't you let that happen. It's only going to be when they decide to. So they've made the decision, and they're following each other's lead, and it's the best thing to see after, you know, a lot of tough games where we've taken L's, and it's because of that third quarter, right? So like this stings. I don't want to sit here and say like I'm happy that this is great, we played well, but we lost. It stings, and it's hard to look at them who played well enough to win and say, well, you're not always going to win them, even though you could. And them hearing that message is also probably a note of maturity too. So they're going to have to get over this one pretty quickly.
Yeah. Coach, this was your first loss in 7 home games. You guys were 6-0 before this point, and you guys brought the energy tonight. You know, the building was electric, and pretty much everything you could have asked for, except for to get the win, of course. But can you just talk about, you know, the mindset your team has when you guys play on home court? And
I wish I knew. I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to figure out the road. I think that comes with routines and all this, but they love playing here. They love that gym. I mean, it's it's very much it's a snake pit to come in here, like, any team that comes in is like, this isn't gonna be good, with everybody right on top of the court, but I wish I knew, I wish I could take credit, I can't, they just play well at home, I would like to see them play that well on the road, and we'd be a pretty tough team to reckon with.
More questions for Coach Morrone?
Coach, it's another game where you have, well, Molly was close, but players with almost 10 minutes off the bench, 10 plus minutes off the bench. I know it's unfortunate to get players like Madison and Paloma in foul trouble, but is it nice early in the season or like in the middle of the season to get players reps at this point?
Yeah, I didn't think in our previous game, everybody showed up to do their job, and part of the sub's job is to make sure that if this happens, then you're ready. So they were, and it's not always gonna be shown on the stat sheet, but just in playmaking ability, getting stops, offensive flow, any of those categories. So they were ready. It's nice to be able to go to them and to see that some different people can step in at different times, and I thought a lot of people did today. Madison and Paloma cannot continue to foul. And they're gonna keep hearing it from me over and over again. I think Maddie's grown through that a little bit. Paloma's she's so important to us, and she's gotta figure out how to be equally as aggressive, strategically, without losing as much time as she has. I think we only got, we got Maddie for 24 minutes today and P for 31. You give them each 5 more minutes on the floor. So they're gonna keep learning, and until they do, they can sit down and watch their teammates step in, and but I do think that they're like the best kids, they're so uniquely themselves, and for P to be kind of in charge of the backcourt and Maddie anchoring that, the front court for us, like, they play so hard, you really can't get too mad at them. It's just keep saying, like, grow up as quickly as possible so we can get you there as soon as possible, but yeah, I'm proud of my team being a team today.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.